All right, welcome to microscope number 2. So microscope number 2, we're going to be looking at a Pteridinium rhizome. This is from a plant. It is a weed, and it is known as an invasive species, and oftentimes it can be toxic if consumed. Question number 1, before we actually look at anything, question number 1 is going to ask for you to compare and contrast plant and animal cells. So before we even look at it, what are some characteristics of plant cells versus animal cells, and how might I be able to distinguish the two under the microscope? So go ahead and pause the video, answer that question, compare and contrast plant cells and animal cells, and how might you be able to tell the difference between them? All right, so now that you've answered question 1, I'm going to go ahead and slide this into place. So again, we are looking at a sample. This is a plant cell. So now that you are looking at these cells, we see many different cell types here. So we have some cells here. We also have some cells in the middle. I'm going to ask you that for your next 2 questions, please look at both sections carefully when answering your question. So question number 2 is going to be, these are plant cells. I've told you that this is a plant cell. Technically, it's a fern, an invasive type of fern. What are 2 to 3 characteristics of plant cells that you see exhibited here? So from what you wrote above, what do we see in this sample that tells us that these are plant cells? And again, make sure you look carefully both at the ones here. One of the features isn't so clear here, but it definitely is clear up here. So make sure that you're looking at both sections when you're answering this question. So what are at least 2 or 3 characteristics of plant cells that we can see in this image? And then question number 3, what type of cell is a plant cell? So we talked about prokaryotes and eukaryotes. Is a plant cell a prokaryotic cell or a eukaryotic cell? And what do we see in this image that tells us that? So is plant cell, are they prokaryote or eukaryote? And what do we see here in this image that tells us that?